Alright, what you see here is a Hunter Preference ceiling fan. I got this from Chandru last year, better known on YouTube as Charles S. I've been wanting to get a Hunter Preference in the gloss black finish for quite some time now, and I've always wanted to try it out with a black spotlight. This is not the one from the Hunter Infinity in my living room. This is actually the one that came with this specific fan. It's not spray painted like the one in my living room, Infinity. This fan I've been wanting to get for a while in this exact combination, and I saw Chandru posted about it on Facebook, and I messaged him right away about if he was to ever sell it, put me in line for it because I'd pay him whatever for it, because this is something I've been contemplating on putting in a living room in place of the Infinity if it was ever to get too droopy, the blades on it and such. But also, I really do like how this fan looks. It has a 90s look with a nice glossy black with rosewood blades, which they're not high gloss like the Infinity is, but they definitely do have a bit of a glossiness to it. Then, as you can tell, they're more of a higher end wood, not the laminate type of wood that the Hunter would use. It's the actual rosewood. It's not just a print out. So I really do like that. The only thing is, I do like the look of the Infinity more with the blades and such, just the build of it all together. But this, I wouldn't mind putting in place of it because it is very similar to it. It's just a little bit different. But who knows? I mean, the blade arms are kind of typical, so that's the only thing. The vents have the Hermosa vents from Casablanca, so it's kind of a knockoff of that in a sense. But I really do like the look of it, and with these blades, I'm pretty sure it would move a little bit more in than the Infinity's blades due to it being more wide and less skinny. But it probably is about the same. But yeah, I got this fan from Chandru along with another one, another Hunter fan that's even more sought after than this one. Now, the Preference ceiling fan was more of a showroom model, not really something you see in the stores at like Home Depot or Lowe's back in the day. If you did see them there, it was more so, well, if you were to buy one from there, it was like a special order model. I know for Home Depot that is, I'm not sure if that was the case with Lowe's, where they had the Hunter brochures and such. This specific one is from the third quarter of 1996, so it's made right around the time that I was born, which was like around, so it was either made around September to October. Usually, I think, actually no, I think it'd be like, I know they do like by quarters, so I think the fourth quarter of 1996 would be more so around my birthday, but still close enough. But yeah, this fan's really nice. I really do like it a lot. It really could go in my living room, but that's only if the Infinity's blades get too droopy or warped more so. That's really the issue, that they're getting pretty warped. Though they already came warped as it is. This one's blades aren't warped, so that isn't an issue. The only issue with it, however, is some of the blade screws don't want to screw in all the way. I'm not sure why. I'm trying to find one of them. It's not the grommets. It's more so that it's this one here. As you can see, it's more so like the threads are crooked on this one, so they just don't want to screw in properly. But I really do like the blade finish on this. And in some ways, I feel like it would match the living room a little bit better, but I'd rather leave the Infinity alone for now, because it's still doing its job. But if it was getting more warped to the point where I would be afraid of it getting more, like where the blades would be unsalvageable, not so much unsalvageable, more so to the point that they wouldn't really be efficient, then I'd swap it out for this. But yeah, I'll go ahead and show it to spotlight. Yeah, it's just I really do like the Infinity more, and also it's just more childhood for me. But this one I really do feel would match the living room pretty well. But I think it does look a tiny bit more dated in the Infinity. I mean, it does and it doesn't, but they both look about the same age in a sense. But I just really like the glossiness of the Infinity, but if I had to swap it out, it would definitely be for this. But, yeah, hopefully I don't have to do that. Something I definitely would love to install one day, don't get me wrong. But yeah, it gives off good lighting. Let me show the Hunter logo. There it is. I don't know, I really might put this up in its place of it, who knows. Alright, here it's low. I mean, the Infinity Star does a good enough job as it is, despite the blades being warped. But if they were getting warped to the point where I'm afraid it could cause the blade to crack or like something like that, then I'd swap it. Mostly it's because my mom sometimes lets the birds fly around and she doesn't really watch them like I do. I don't care if they sit on the low profile plus in the kitchen because the blades are just like this, where they're not super skinny. Whereas the Infinity's blades are more skinnier, and with the blades already being warped, I'm afraid that with the weight of the bird, even though it's not much, only like maybe a few pounds, just the weight of it I feel like can make it a bit worse. I don't know, I'm really unsure. This could go up, it might not. I prefer putting something more unique like the stealth. It's just I need the spotlight lighting for that room. That's the only issue. Because I do have more of a use for a spotlight in the living room than just a dome light that faces downwards. And more of a recessed one that is like. I mean, I really do like this fan a lot. Don't get me wrong. It's just I personally think the Infinity looks a bit more unique. I mean, Infinity is a very unique looking fan in general, but it's just the design on this one. It has aspects that you see on other fans already. The blade arms, the vents. Whereas Infinity is more of its own. It has its own specific design. It's not really copying anything else, like with the blade arms and such. The vents, I mean, it's a different story, but this one just looks more like something else, just with a Hunter logo on it, and it's Hunter switch housing. I mean, it could go up, it might not, but it's a good chance it could go up. It really just depends on how well the Infinity keeps holding up in the living room. So far it's doing fine, but this will definitely be a good backup one. I will say that the roll speed on this is a little bit slower than the Infinities, which I could say is a plus. Heck, this won't even be a bad fan to use in an office, honestly, or like a bedroom. I mean, the fact that this one actually has rosewood blades and not walnut like a lot of other fans from this era is definitely a nice thing. Now, if it was high gloss rosewood, I'd be a lot more inclined to install this in the living room. I don't know. It might. Who knows? Maybe by the end of this year, like well, towards the fall for the National Ceiling Fan Day, you might see this in the living room. Maybe, maybe not, but we'll see. But the fan's still working well, so I really don't see any reason to take it out. Plus, I really do like where the Infinity is right now. In a sense, it's more of like a backup fan to have. Like if now one started having issues and I wanted to still have the same look in the living room, this would be the second option. All right, not for medium. The other thing that's kind of tricky is that the preference really isn't that much of a childhood fan for me like the Infinity is. So that's kind of the other issue there. Sorry about that. The furnace just went on. I forgot what I was gonna say, but yeah. Um, I think what I was saying was that this one's not really a childhood fan of mine, like the Infinity, but it looks very close enough to a lot of fans I saw similar to it as a kid and such. It's funny because Terracotta and Verde are pretty uncommon finishes from Hunter for this fan. Though for some reason the gloss black finish is even more uncommon. I mean, I won't say that they're super uncommon, but they're not as easy to come across. I mean, even in general, the preference ceiling fan in general from Hunter isn't that common of a fan compared to other 90s models. Heck, even a white one or a white and brass one. I don't know if they made them in bright brass or antique brass, but you don't really see these showing up all that often in general. So if you find one, it's worth getting, even if it's for a good enough price and not overpriced. Because they really don't show up that often, like the Infinity or the Passport and stuff like that, or low profiles and such, coastal breezes. I mean, those ones I just mentioned, those were more fans that you would see being sold at the home centers too. So that's another thing. I mean, like the summer breezes, I feel like those were kind of sold at other places that weren't just home centers like Ace Hardware, just hardware stores in general. I'm not sure if the preference. I'm pretty sure that was more of a showroom exclusive or like a special order, such. I mean, I feel like if any of them shows up more often, it's the terracotta one for some reason. Even though it's not really a common finish. For this one, I've seen quite a few of them on Marketplace in that finish. Verde, on the other hand, not so much. Black, I've never seen out in the wild. A few other gloss black kind of fancy ones I'd love to get. The Sojourn, the Dimensions, the what is it? I think it's the no, it's not the Constellation. I think actually is it the Constellation? No, not Constellation. What is it? Oh, the Millennium. That's another one I'd love to find in gloss black. Those are ones that I mean, even with the Infinity and with this fan, it's a finish that when they show up, collectors really go are like right are already like barking up someone's door, just trying to get it off them and such. So it's kind of like with black Casablanca fans, they are pretty sought after. Same thing with some of the gloss black Hunter fans from the '90s, especially the ones that have black blades and rosewood for the reverse side. And move it up to the high speed. The fan's wobbling not so much that the blade's out of whack, it's just more so that one of the blades isn't screwing all the way, like I was mentioning earlier. It doesn't have that ticking bearing sound from Hunter, which is nice. The Infinity kind of has that sound, so that would already be one reason to swap it out. I mean, Infinity has a super long spin down too, but it does have that ticking sound. But again, I sit in the living room. It's not in the bedroom, so I really don't mind it. It's not really a big deal. If it was in a bedroom and I was using it, and made that ticking sound, that would bother me a bit more. But yeah, no, it's definitely moving a good amount of air. So, well, what do you expect from a spin amount of Hunter fan at 172.1? But I do feel like it's moving a little bit more. I'm not sure if I know with some of the more of the showroom models that Hunter sold back then, they were a little bit more powerful than some of the other ones you'd see that were sold exclusive, like all over the place, like the Infinity and such, or the Summer Breezes. I'm not. In fact, I'm not sure if the preference does have a 188 motor. I know there was a few of them in the 90s that did use a larger motor, but I'm not sure if the preference is one of them. I mean, honestly, what I could also do with the Infinity, swap the blades with the blades on this one, just until I can flatten out the warped blades on that and just swap them back on. Because the only really big difference is just the motor housing and the vents. I don't know. I actually could end up putting this up. It's another one of the more obscure Hunter fans that people are after, but I just like the Infinity a tiny bit more. But it has the exact same look that I want for the living room, so this would honestly be a good second option. And I can definitely say I do feel a bit of a stronger breeze from this than the Infinity. So that right there would already make it kind of more of a better fan to have in there. Because the low profile plus in the kitchen does move a bit more air than the Infinity, but that's also because it has wider blades. But also the Infinity's blades are warped. So if I was to put this up in this place, it would definitely be more of an improvement with air movement. But it definitely spreads the air around a lot more than the Infinity does. With the Infinity having the warped blade to kind of limit how much it can spread the air. Maybe we'll see. It really depends. Like, I mean, what I also could do is take the blades from the bright brass Infinity and just have the Rosewood side on that one facing down. The only difference is this won't have the black trim around the blades, which I would miss. But if I could just if I was to do that just until I flatten out the blades on the black Infinity, I could always just do that instead. Which honestly might be the better option, just because it'll be less work to do. I don't know. This thing you put together definitely already has grown on me to seeing it assembled and such. I may put it up, I may not. Who knows? But seeing it put together, I do like it a lot more than I thought I would. Seeing it all assembled and such. All right. I'm gonna shut off and do spin now. And then I'll show it on reverse afterwards. The one thing I can say though with this one is that with the blades not being super dark, like, or not as dark like the Rosewood ones on the Infinity, being glossy Rosewood and such, I feel like it definitely matches the furniture a little bit better. It really does depend, like, when we get to new couches. We do plan to get some new couches for the living room this year, so I kind of want to wait till then to see if I want to do the swap or not. Because I do feel this looks a little bit more dated in the Infinity, just because of the blade finish on the Infinity. I feel works a little bit better with today's look in certain cases. With the Rosewood on that way, I feel like the wood grain on it's just a lot more detailed, which I do like more about it. Like if you end up going with black couches or gray ones, which is what I want to do is either put black or gray couches in the living room, not tan or brown ones. I feel like depending on how the couches look at the living room, I feel like the Infinity would look a little bit nicer because having just more reddish looking blades like this that would stand out a bit more than the Rosewood ones on the Infinity, I feel like it would kind of distract from it a little bit and look a little bit off. Like let's say like I painted the living room walls gray, for an example. I feel like the Infinity would would look a little bit nicer in the living room than this would. That's just a thought I was thinking of. Yeah. Yeah, it was definitely one of my favorite finds of last year. Well, not a find, more so of a score. I remember when Todd the Fan Man did a video of his a few years back. I was really interested in finding one ever since I saw his video of it a few years back. Kind of what actually gave me the idea to put a black Infinity in a living room to begin with. With the black spotlight and such. I do like both of them. I just feel like the Infinity has a bit more of a unique contemporary look to it that I like more than the Preference does. I mean, not to say that this isn't unique looking, but the Infinity has future like details about it that's just something you only would see on the Infinity, whereas this kind of has some details and characteristics to it that you see on other fans in general. So I feel like the Infinity is just more unique looking in general. Honestly, I feel like I've seen more of these like on YouTube in black than the Infinity. Who knows? It may go up, it may not. No, as to whenever I get my own place, whether it'll go up or not, that's still debatable. I mean, it'll probably go up somewhere, maybe not permanently. I really do like it though, don't get me wrong. I really do like how the fan looks. I mean, it actually could go up and place an Infinity when I get my own place, just to give the Infinity a break and such. It really depends how the place looks. Which is why I like to have a few options. If I was to get my own place and such, I have quite a few options of what I could put in the living room. One thing I will say, the spin note's definitely not nearly as long as the Infinities, but it also doesn't seem as worn out, like used as the Infinity is, so I feel like that's the other thing there. Alright, that'll be it for this video. Thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, and stay tuned for more videos to come.